I request a duel to the death.
If you lose, your wife will suffer dire consequences.
One of us has lied. Let us let God decide.
How did you all find the story? What did you know about it? And I know there's the book, but how do you even begin?
Ben and I, because we wrote the first draft of the male perspectives, and the book was really helpful. And the men were very helpful in the sense that they were very assiduously recording, recording every single thing they did and said. So it really is an adaptation in that sense. Whereas Nicole, because the women just were so ignored and overlooked, and it wasn't kind of cataloged what they thought or felt or did, that Nicole really had to kind of write an original act and create Marguerite's life. We knew through the courts, we knew that she stood up and spoke her truth again and again and again to an ever-widening group of people. It finally, all of France and the king. And I mean, this incredible act of bravery kind of again and again, but we didn't know much else about her. So that was where Nicole really had to.
How did you do that?
How did she do it?
I don't know. It's incredible. I didn't know anything about anything until they called me up and asked if I would write with them. And I was thrilled and flattered and a little insecure about writing about the Middle Ages in the language and making up a life for Marguerite that, was not contemporary. I did a lot of research. I had a lot of help researching what I could about women in that time and what they did, but it was pretty general. And I tried to be specific with Marguerite. And, it was challenging and fun. I got to make things up.
Where did she get the courage, the bravery, the gumption? Even when I heard her say to Jean, he raped me. It was so startling.
I think she just couldn't take it anymore. She was mad as hell and she just couldn't take it anymore. And, she was pregnant after she confessed to everybody. Who knows if she would have done the same, knowing she was about to have the baby she wanted so badly. And maybe she wouldn't have done it had she known what the consequences would have been, that what her husband arranged as a duel to the death. And for her to be burned at the stake. She was violated, she was angry, and she honored herself and honored her experience, I think. And, in those days, it was really dangerous and very unique.
Yeah, Eric, he would have had the right to kill her.
Carouge would have had the right to kill her, which Eric talks about in the book. And that her first act of bravery is saying that it happened to her husband, because that in itself was a risk of her own.
If he didn't believe her, he could have killed her and said he murdered her for adultery.
He murdered her for being an adulterer.
How dare you speak to me this way?
What if I lose? I begged you to find another way, and now I might be burned alive.
I am risking my life for you.
It's a modern story. I mean, the first thing he says to her is, "Are you telling me the truth?"
Right.
That's what we hear now all the time. So what do you want people to get from it?
What was important to us was to try to get it right. And in the course of which, we were lucky to work with, consult with Rain, who gave us a lot of really helpful feedback throughout, so that we were mindful and sensitive of what the experience of this movie would be like to people who had experienced similar events in their own lives, and as well as the Gina Davis Institute was very helpful. And Nicole had the authority and the life experience to write about what it feels like to be a woman, and particularly to feel marginalized, excluded, and in this case, even more extreme way than it is now, where it was actually codified by law. You are not a human being. Rape is a property crime. You are the property of your husband. And what I think was interesting about that is that while we don't have the same laws, we have inherited this culture. And it was an examination of the culture, the institutions, the values and norms, and how they informed the behavior of the people. But ultimately, in terms of a message, I think movies aren't very good at sort of imparting messages. I remember a director said, if you got a message, write it in a note and put it in the film can. It's in my mind about creating empathy and compassion and seeing other people for who they are. For people to walk away from this thinking, have I always, looked at people for who they are, for where they came from, and really seen them as they are, rather than seen them through the prism of my own life needs and experiences.
And sadly, they can't leave the theater saying, well, we're glad that's over with.
Right.
Right. Just the opposite. The vestigial aspects of a lot of this really linger.